Under the gold standard, the quantity of money is arbitrarily determined. And what the Keynesians and monetarists generally mean by this is it's not determined by some central government agency that decides that the economy demands for more money and therefore they will rationally supply this additional money. Under the gold standard, as in the case of any other commodity on the market, costs of production in conjunction with demand determine the quantity of money. Okay? So I gave you an example here of the gold standard at a particular point in time, but if you look over a prolonged period of time, you'll find that the supply of gold does react to an increase in demand for gold. It takes a while to do that. So we have the purchasing power of money here again, and we have the whatever the purchasing power may be at a given point in time, the equilibrium purchasing power, and a certain money supply here. Let's just call it M1 as the money supply. This is the money supply. This is the money demand. M is the quantity of money at a given point in time. All right, let's say for a moment that there is a decrease in the costs of supplying gold. Okay? A better technique is discovered for abstracting gold from the ore. Or possibly better mines are found, okay, from which it's easier to extract the gold. For whatever reason now, you suddenly have a decrease in the cost of mining gold. Well, what would that mean? That would mean now that you would have an increase in the supply of gold, as in the case of any other industry in the economy. So you would have a shift to the right of the supply curve to MS prime, let's say. You'd have more gold in the economy, and as a result, prices would rise. Okay, purchasing power 2. Now, how would this come about? Okay. What would happen is that as the price of extracting gold from the ground dropped, that would mean that you would have a situation where an ounce of gold could be purchased from the ground, could be gotten from the ground for less than an ounce of gold that you have to pay in wages. Okay? So now you would have more workers, okay, paying them the going wage rates, and there'll be a higher profit, in other words, to producing gold. Just as it would be if the price of apples fell or if the price of computers fell. You would expand the industry. And so gold mining would expand, and what would happen is that more gold would come out of the ground, and the price of gold, or the value of gold would drop. In other words, there'd be more gold in circulation and drive prices up. But that's not the only, or not the end of the effect. Some of that additional gold, okay, since gold is now cheaper, okay, as the price of, for example, of jewelry goes up and so on, it would now be more profitable to produce jewelry and more profitable to use gold in dentistry because those prices have risen. So part of the new gold would go to directly satisfying consumer wants, and part of it would go into the money supply. In either case, you would have a higher price level, but you would also have more goods that would be produced by gold. Okay? So society would benefit. Okay? That would occur with any sort of a particular good, whether it's gold or any other type of commodity. Now, why is that arbitrary? Why do they say that the quantity of money is arbitrarily determined? It's not arbitrarily determined. It's determined by the market. Right? On the other hand, and I'm going to draw it here, if you had an increase in the demand for gold, prices would fall. Okay? And as prices fell, the prices of those inputs or resources that you use to mine gold would fall. So you'd have a fall in the prices of capital goods, a fall in the prices of the various raw materials and energy that you use to mine gold. What would that do to gold production? In the long run, it would be more profitable to mine gold from the existing mines using the existing techniques. So when there's an increase in demand for gold, in the short run, yes, prices fall. But in the longer run, what tends to happen? As those prices fall, it spurs or stimulates the development of new sources of gold and also stimulates the production from existing gold mines. And as a result, you get an increase in the supply of gold that pushes prices up back towards their former level. Now, what's so arbitrary about that? Okay, that's not arbitrary. Basically, what the critics of gold call arbitrary simply means that the quantity of gold is not determined by governments. It's determined by people's demands for gold, and it's determined by the costs, the costs of gold, based on technology and the availability of specific resources such as gold mines. Okay. I don't see that as arbitrary one bit. Okay. Thirdly, what about this whole idea that gold is a government price-fixing scheme, okay, on a large level, okay? This is a particular criticism by Milton Friedman of the gold standard. But in fact, under a genuine gold standard, it's not price-fixing. If we go back to the 19th century, when we had genuine gold standards existing in most of the world, or silver standards, but let's focus on gold. We had a situation where for at least for about 100 years in the U.S., from 1834 until 1933, the dollar was defined legally as equal to 1/20th of an ounce of gold. Okay? That's not price fixing. When people brought their gold into banks, that meant that there was they formed a contract with the bank to return their property when they redeemed the banknote. The banknote itself was not money under a genuine gold standard. It was a receipt that permitted you to redeem that note for money. You could use it as a money substitute in exchange because it was more convenient. But it itself was not the money, and people understood that. It's as if someone says the pink slip that the title to an automobile which changes hands. I can sell you my automobile, my Grand Prix competition series. I could sell you that, and here in Alabama, give you the pink slip, and the car could remain in New Jersey. I could store it for you for a few months. Okay. I'd beat it into the ground at that point. But anyway, you wouldn't be deluded into believing that the pink slip, the so-called pink slip, which is the title to the car, is the car itself. Okay? Obviously, it's a title to the car. All right. So keeping that in mind, when all nations were on the gold standard, everybody had the same money. Okay? They just used different names to designate their unit of money. So, for example, the British pound was equal to 1/4 of an ounce of gold. Okay. The French franc was equal to 1/100th of an ounce of gold, and so on. So, for about 100 years, the U.S. dollar, the exchange rate between the U.S. dollar was $4.86 per 1 British pound. Why was that? That wasn't arbitrary. There was no price fixing there. The reason why that exists is because there was 5 times the amount of gold in a British pound, since it was defined as 1/4 of an ounce, as there was in an American dollar, which was defined as 1/20th of an ounce. So, under the gold standard, the fixed exchange rates between the different goods is no different than the fixed exchange rate, okay, it's not really an exchange rate, but we'll call it that for the moment. The fixed exchange rate between, let's say, a nickel, okay, and a quarter. A nickel is defined as 1/20th of a dollar. A quarter is defined as 1/4 of a dollar, or 1/4 of a dollar. Therefore, 1/20th of a dollar. Yeah, 5 nickels exchange for 1/4. That's not an exchange rate. That's not a government price-fixing scheme. That's simply a result of the laws of arithmetic. Okay? So Friedman is wrong under at least a genuine gold standard. Now, that's not true of the Bretton Woods system, and we'll talk about some other gold standards in which it would be artificial price fixing. But under a genuine gold standard, it is not a price-fixing scheme.